Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you guys are fine. I'm Saranya, your educator in your channel Gurmantra Siksha Ka Granth. So today our topic is amino acids and proteins. We're going to see some basics and build on our topics. We always start with basics and slowly, little by little, we build on the topics and concepts and we cover everything. Right? So let's go. Amino acids. Amino acids are basic units of proteins. So many different amino acids. They form a polymer and make up a polypeptide, and when it has its functional structure, it becomes a protein. Its 3D structure, it becomes protein and it has its function. So they are made up of amino group. You see, this is the structure of an amino acid. It has an amino group. This is amino group. A carboxylic group. This is the carboxylic group, COOH group. Hydrogen atom right here. And the side chain all bonded to C alpha. So this is the side chain R group. This can change based on the amino acid, and this is C alpha. This carbon is called as C alpha carbon. Around this C alpha carbon you have four groups. The term amino acid is short for alpha amino carboxylic acid. Okay, so this is the short form for amino acids, alpha amino carboxylic acid. The amino acids differ from each other in particular chemical structure of the R group. Yes. So basically, if you see different amino acids, all will have this structure, up to this structure common. Amino group will be there, C alpha will be there, hydrogen will be there, carboxylic group will be there. But for each amino acid, your R chain, that is your side chain, will be different. There are 20 basic amino acids that make up the protein. We have 20 amino acids. Functions of proteins, they can be enzymes, they can be hormones, they help in transport, signaling, and they play a very important role in immune system. So we have some of the enzymes as an example. Some proteins, actually basically these are all proteins and their role and their function. So first, digestive enzyme, you have example like amylase, lipase, pepsin. What do? They break down nutrients in food into small particles that can be readily absorbed. So what these enzymes do, they break our food into small particles which can be absorbed by our body. Next is transport. Transport the protein helpful is hemoglobin. They carry the substances through the body in blood or lymph. What does hemoglobin carry? It carries oxygen. Next is structure. Actin, tubulin, keratin. They are the structural proteins in our body in extracellular matrix, cytoskeletons. So they all act in build different structures like the cytoskeleton. Hormone signaling, you see, examples are insulin and glucagon. They coordinate the activity of different body systems. Insulin, it's a hormone. It helps in glucose absorption by the cell, glucose uptake by the cell. Next is defense, antibodies. You see, antibodies are protein, immunoglobulins, protect the body from foreign pathogens. Next is contraction. Myosin, you saw actin here, myosin, these two help in muscle contraction. Next is storage. Legume storage protein, egg white, albumin, they provide food for the early development of embryo or the seedling. So these are some of the role, example and functions of proteins in our body and day-to-day lives. So when we saw about protein, its basic units is amino acids. We said there are 20 basic amino acids present. It is the structures. These are the structure of 20 basic amino acids. We are going to see them one by one. So the first one is glycine. I told you there are some groups, there are some structure which is common in all the amino acids. You see this NH3 plus carbon, hydrogen, CO minus is common in every amino acid. It is common for all the amino acids. You can see in this picture amino group, carboxylic group, C alpha, hydrogen is common in all the amino acids. So it is not different. It is the same structure for all the amino acid. What is varying is only the R chain. You see R chain is different in different amino acids. R chain is different. So we will talk about amino acids and its structure. We'll understand the structure. Remember one thing, you'll have to learn these structures by heart. You should have them by heart. The only way to have them by heart is by practicing. You have to practice these structures. I know it seems little bit difficult. It is not difficult at all. If you practice them, it will be very easy. There are only 20 amino acids. Okay, you can memorize a song. Thousands of song we can memorize. So it is just 20 amino acids. Think like that. Then it will become easy. You can memorize them. Have it in your memory, because these structures are always useful. It is not only useful for your CSIR net exam or GATE exam, DBT exam. It is useful for these exams definitely, but it is also useful for your PhD interviews. When you go for PhD interviews, they'll ask you questions. Draw the structure of this amino acid and then tell some of the properties. Like that, they'll ask you questions. So always remember, you'll have to have these 20 amino acids by heart. So we'll see. For glycine, the side chain is H group. Glycine is the only amino acid. Glycine is the only amino acid which is achiral. Achiral means all its four groups are not different. Chiral means what? All its four group around this carbon. A carbon which is having four group around it are different. That is called as chiral. Achiral means, see, you can see in glycine, you have two hydrogen. Therefore, it is not chiral. We call glycine achiral. Okay. So glycine has H group. Next is alanine. Alanine has methyl group CH3. Valine has CH and two CH3s. Next is leucine. You have CH2, CH, CH3, CH3. Methionine, CH2, CH2S, CH3. So you have a sulfur here. Remember, methionine has a sulfur, but it cannot form disulfide bond. Disulfide bond can be only formed by cysteine, because I tell you the reason. It is very interesting. This question they can ask you in interviews and all. Only cysteine can form disulfide bond, because removing one hydrogen and forming the SS bond is easy than removing three hydrogen and methyl group. This methyl group and then forming SS bond, disulfide bond. That will take so much of energy here. Therefore, methionine does not form disulfide bond. Okay. But cysteine can form disulfide bond. You remember that. Okay. Next is isoleucine. You see isoleucine, you have CH, CH3, CH2, CH3. This is isoleucine. Next, serine, CH2OH. This is hydroxyl containing amino acid. Threonine is also like that, CHOH, CH3. Cysteine is CH2SH. This is the only amino acid which can form disulfide bond. Proline, you have a structure like this. You see, from NH2 plus and this CH2, another CH2 is bonded. Next, asparagine, CH2C double bond O NH2. You should know something about this. Next is glutamine. Glutamine is CH2CH2C double bond O NH2. Okay. Next is lysine. Lysine, you have 4 CH2 group and 1 NH3 group. This is called as epsilon amino acid. This is also called as epsilon. You know that E symbol, right? Epsilon amino acid. Next is arginine. Arginine, you have CH2 three times, then NHC double bond NH2 plus, here NH2. This group is called as guanidino group. Arginine has guanidino group. This is called as guanidino group. Next, this is histidine, CH2, C, CH, NH plus, CH and N. This group is called as imidazole group. Remember these names. This group is called as imidazole group. Next is aspartate, CH2CO minus, that is aspartate. For glutamate, one more CH2 you add. Always aspartate and glutamate or asparagine or glutamine structure is same. Remember, asparagine will have one CH2, glutamine will have 2. Similarly, aspartate will have one CH2, glutamate will have 2 CH2. Next is phenylalanine. Phenylalanine will have CH2 and one benzene ring. Tyrosine will have CH2, you have one benzene ring and one OH group. Tryptophan you have CH2, one 5-membered ring and one 6-membered ring. This group we call it as indole group. So this is called as indole group. Tryptophan has indole group. Remember that, okay? You have to remember tryptophan has indole group. Then histidine has imidazole group and arginine has guanidino group. Okay. Now we are going to see these are the 20 amino acids. Now we are going to see the classification of amino acids. You see classification of amino acids as non-polar. Non-polar means what? Hydrophobic. Hydrophobic. They do not interact with water. That is what non-polar means. They do not interact with water. They are buried. These amino acid in a protein are buried in the core of the protein. That is non-polar, hydrophobic. Glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, methionine, isoleucine. These are the non-polar. Aliphatic. Aliphatic means it does not have any cyclic ring and all. A normal linear chain it has. One more thing is, this is the least hydrophobic and this is the most, as it goes, it is increasing order of hydrophobicity. First this is least hydrophobic and this is most hydrophobic. So it is in the same order, increasing order of hydrophobicity, because as you see from glycine to alanine, this is only hydrogen, but here you have methyl group. From alanine to valine it goes, you have 2 methyl groups. So 2 methyl group means more non-polar nature. So as non-polar nature increases, more hydrophobicity. Okay. So this is non-polar aliphatic R groups. Next is polar uncharged R groups. Polar means they can interact with water. That is what polar means, right? So serine, threonine, cysteine, proline, and glutamine. These are all polar uncharged R groups. Okay. Next is positively charged amino groups. Positively charged R groups, which means they have a positive charge. Okay. You have 2 positive charge here and 1 negative charge. This positive and this negative charge will be neutralized and you have 1 positive charge here. For lysine, same for arginine and histidine. Next is negatively charged R groups. If you see negatively charged R groups, you have aspartate and glutamate. You see here, you have 2 negatively charged groups and 1 positively charged group. This positive and this negative will get neutralized and total net charge will be negative, one negative you'll have. Okay, aspartate and glutamate are negatively charged R groups. Next is non-polar, which means hydrophobic. Aromatic. Aromatic means what? You have rings. These benzene ring, these are aromatic R groups. Okay. You see here, tryptophan is most hydrophobic. Then you have phenylalanine and then you have tyrosine. That is how it goes. Okay. So these are the amino acids: non-polar, aliphatic, non-polar, aromatic, polar, uncharged. These are also polar but charged, positively charged, negatively charged. Okay. So these are the 20 basic amino acids. Learn their structure, learn their classification. Very important. Okay. Very, very important. I'm stressing on the point that it is very important again and again because it is very important. They will ask you this question every time. So we saw amino acids. Now we are going to see how amino acids will form polymers to form a protein. This is one amino acid. This is another amino acid. Okay. You have carboxyl group here and amino group of second amino acid. These two interact with each other. One water molecule, from here OH and from here H, one water molecule will be lost. One water molecule will be lost while forming the bond, and you will get C double bond O NH. This is the peptide bond. Remember, this is the peptide bond. C double bond O NH is the peptide bond. Okay. It is very important. So remember it. C double bond O NH is the peptide bond. You see, this bond is polar. Okay. Peptide bond is polar. This is covalent bond. It can also form hydrogen bonds with other molecules. You see its characteristics. It has restricted rotations. It has restricted rotations. This bond cannot rotate. Okay, that's why it is called as omega bond. This cannot rotate. Either it can be 0 degree or it can be 180 degree. If this C double bond O and NH are in the same direction, it means 0 degree. If this NH group is downside, it means 180 degree. Okay, and this bond is rigid and planar, so it follows sp2 hybridization. It has a partial double bond characteristics, which means the resonance will happen. This bond will come here, this bond will go there. Electrons delocalization will take place. Pi electron delocalization will take place. Okay. So these are all some of the properties of peptide bond. Remember them. Now we are going to see the properties of amino acids. You have L and D isomers of amino acids. Okay. L isomer means, L means, always remember, L means left and the other one is right. L means left. So you see in L and D isomers, amino group, this NH3 positive group will be in the left side. Okay, so that is L isomer. D isomer means this NH3 plus group will be on the right side. Alanine L isomer and alanine D isomer. Mostly for the biological systems, L amino acid is the common one. We do not have D amino acids because in the translation process, D amino acids are not synthesized. Optical activity of amino acids. Except glycine, all amino acids are chiral. I told you why glycine is not chiral, because it has two hydrogens. Chiral means all the four groups around the single carbon should be different. But in glycine, since you have two hydrogen, it is achiral. But other amino acids are chiral. They are mirror images but not superimposable images, that we call them as enantiomers. Learn this term. I'll explain them. They are mirror images but non-superimposable. You see glycine here, it has two hydrogen groups. Therefore, it is achiral. It is a mirror image. If you keep a mirror here, you will get the same image here also. Superimposable means if you take two glycine, keep one on top of the other, it will be still same structure. It will not be different. You will not see any difference. You take two glycine, put one on top of the other. That is called as superimposing. If there is no difference at all between structure 1 and structure 2, there's no difference. Okay, there will not be any different. You keep one on top of other, you will not find any weird structure. So that is called as superimposable. Chiral compound, if you see, like alanine, where carbon will have 4 different groups, they are mirror images. If you see the mirror image of this, the CO minus, that is the carboxylic group which was on the right side, will be left here, and amino group which was on left will be right here. Hydrogen and methyl group will be in the same position. Now you see, this is mirror image, but they will not superimpose. If you take this and put it on top of each other, you take this, superimpose on this, you see NH3 plus and CO minus will be on the same side, which means they are not same, and CO minus and NH3 plus will be in the right side. So they are not superimposable. When you put one alanine on top of another, you will not have the same structure. You will not have the same image. So that is called as non-superimposable. Okay. They are called as enantiomers. You give a term to them, you call them as enantiomers. Now you see, you have this is also the optical properties only. I'm going to tell you the difference between small d and L, that is dextrorotatory and levorotatory, right? We saw capital D and L, which means if the amino group is on the left side of the amino acid, which means L isomer, capital L, and if it is on the right side, capital D isomer. Now we are going to talk about small d and small l, which means levorotatory and dextrorotatory. Okay. So you have the light source. The light will pass through the monochromator. What does the monochromator do? It will allow only single wavelength light. Single wavelength light will come, but that light will be scattered in all the direction. We do not want the light to be scattered in all the direction. We want it to be in the single direction. So we pass this through a polarizer. Polarizer, what it will do? It will polarize the light. Polarize. The name says polarizer. What is the meaning of polarization? It means giving it a direction. You see now, I have light which is scattered in all the direction. Now after it goes through a polarizer, it will be in a single direction. Now this plain polarized light will pass through the sample. Okay. Based on the structure of the sample, this light will rotate. This light will rotate from its axis. From this is the straight light, it will either rotate like this or it can rotate like this. Okay, it goes to the analyzer and we can see. If it is rotating clockwise means this direction. Understood? Right side. That's called as dextrorotatory, D. If it is rotating left side, which means anti-clockwise. Anti-clockwise is this direction. That is levorotatory. Always remember L for L. Left, levorotatory, anti-clockwise direction. Okay. Next property is absorbance. Absorbance is given by Beer-Lambert law. You have all. I hope you have already studied this in your UG. A is equal to epsilon Cl. A is absorbance. Epsilon is molar absorptivity. C is concentration and L is path length. This formula is very important. Based on this, every time they ask you numericals. You have amino acids. When UV light passes on to this amino acid, you see UV light is passing on to amino acid. The aromatic amino acid, you already, I already taught you aromatic amino acid has benzene ring. Okay, so there will be delocalization of electrons. I'll show you. So these are aromatic amino acids. They have benzene ring. Okay, so this electron will transfer here, this electron will transfer here, this electron will transfer here. So that is called as delocalization of electrons. So when UV light passes on to aromatic amino acid, these aromatic amino acid which has the benzene ring will absorb this light and it will cause pi electron delocalization. That is called as resonance. So it will absorb the light and it will emit the light also. It will emit the light at, the absorption emission spectra will be there. Okay, that we can see in spectrophotometry. For example, tryptophan will have the maximum wavelength, that is 280 nanometer. That's why we always see the absorbance of protein at 280 nanometer, because this is the maximum value an amino acid can go up to. That is tryptophan. Then you have tyrosine 275. Then you have phenylalanine 254 nanometer. Okay. So this is the absorbance property. Now we are going to see the protein structure. Okay, protein structure. You have primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure and quaternary structure. Primary structure is nothing but a linear chain of amino acids linked with each other using a peptide bond. That's it. Sequence of a chain of amino acids. These can be any amino acids. Secondary structure of the protein means there will be folding. Folding of protein will be there. It can either form alpha helices or it can form beta pleated sheets like this. This is alpha helix. This is beta pleated sheets. This is due to hydrogen bond formation. Next is tertiary structure of protein. This alpha helices and beta sheets, these are separate, right? Secondary structure, alpha helix is separate, beta pleated sheets is separate. If so many alpha helices are bonding with so many beta pleated sheets like this, you see here you have a beta pleated sheets, then you have alpha helices, a mixture. You can see a mixture of secondary structure, that you call it as a tertiary structure. Tertiary protein structure, three-dimensional folding pattern of a protein due to side chain interaction. You will have both alpha helices and beta pleated sheets. Quaternary structure means more than one tertiary protein. There will be so many domains. This is one protein. This is another protein. You can see the color difference, right? Light gray and dark gray. So this is one protein. This is another protein which are interacting with each other. That is quaternary structure of protein. So primary structure is nothing but a sequence of amino acid chain. Secondary structure, you have alpha helices and beta pleated sheets, that is due to hydrogen bond formation. Next, tertiary structure, you will have a mixture of alpha helices and beta pleated sheets, and that is due to hydrophobic interaction. See, you are seeing now the protein is folding here. That is because of hydrophobic interaction. Protein folding is always due to hydrophobic interaction. Next, you see quaternary structure of protein, where more proteins will interact with each other. Okay. So yeah, again primary structure, so many different amino acids forming a chain. Now these amino acids are folding. You see they are folding. It is linear here, but now it is folding into alpha helix due to hydrogen bonding. See, you have hydrogen bonding between A2 and A6. And remember, hydrogen bonding will always be between nth and n plus 4 amino acid. That is, for example, it is A1, it will form with, for example, it is A2, it will form with A6 like that. Nth to n plus 4th amino acid. Like A5 to A9, A3 to A7. So the difference will be 4. Remember that. This is alpha helix. Beta pleated sheets, this is beta pleated sheets. This is also held by hydrogen bond only, but see the structure, it is different. This is tertiary structure wherein you have both alpha helix and beta pleated sheets. It's a mixture. Quaternary structure will have more than one tertiary structure. So many tertiary structures will together form. See here, this is a heme. So 4 heme is here and forms hemoglobin. So 4 tertiary structure comes together, interacts with each other and forms a quaternary structure. This is another diagram. Polypeptide chain, primary structure, secondary structure, alpha helix and beta sheet structure produced by hydrogen bonds forming within the polypeptide. Hydrogen bonding causes beta pleated sheets and alpha helix structure. Tertiary structure, 3D overall fold of the protein containing secondary structure. So many secondary structures will come together to form a tertiary structure. These alpha helices and beta sheets are linked with each other using turns and loops. Okay. Next is quaternary structure. So many tertiary structures will come together to form a quaternary structure, which means it will be multi-subunit complex. You see here, this is polypeptide 1, this is polypeptide 2, and this is polypeptide 3. All these three are coming together to form a quaternary structure. Now you'll have to remember these points. Favorable amino acids for alpha helix. For alpha helix formation, there are some amino acids which are favorable. Example is methionine, alanine, leucine, glutamate and lysine. To break a helix, there is some amino acids which are called as helix breaker, proline and glycine. Beta sheets formation, you have some favorable amino acids like tryptophan, tyrosine and phenylalanine. For beta turns, you have proline and glycine. You'll have to remember this because these questions they'll ask you. Most common helix is alpha helix. One turn will have 3.6 amino acids. Most common sheet is beta sheet. You actually have alpha sheet, gamma sheet and all, but most common is beta sheets. Turns is beta turn is most common. Loops will be like 10 amino acids. They are hydrophilic amino acids. Basically, they will be forming the outer structure, outermost of the protein. And these loops and turns helps us to connect the alpha helix and beta pleated sheets so that it forms a tertiary structure and quaternary structure. So this is our session on amino acids and proteins. I hope you understood the concepts very well. Note down the important points. I'll always tell you, my sincere request is while you listen to the class, always have notes with you and make some short notes. Whatever you're listening, whatever you're seeing, make some short notes because they are very important. These short notes will help you for revision, right? Because when you revise, you have less time for revision. In those time, you cannot see each and every video or learn from the book. You will have to revise from the short notes. So whatever you're listening, whatever you're understanding, make some short notes, read them, revise with them. That will be more than enough. While you solve PYQs also, if you get any new information, write it in that short notes. It will be very useful for you. I hope you understood the concepts of amino acids and proteins. So, if you are a CSIR net aspirant and you want to understand the concepts from basics and learn all the topics, you can take Unacademy subscription. Detailed paid classes are available. You can follow Neha Taneja ma'am. She covers so many units for you. She takes so much efforts in making the concepts clear for the students. You can understand the concepts from basics, and she also does revision classes, quizzes, live tests. You can participate in all of that, and you can build your concepts and you can qualify CSIR net without any doubt. You can score high marks and get good ranks. So you have daily live classes in Unacademy, paid classes, structured courses will be there. So you do not have to worry about like what you should study, what you should not study. It's already structured. You just have to study. Then you have live tests and quizzes. You have unlimited access. You can see the recordings and all. So you have different packages like 1 month, 3 months, 6 month, 12 month and 24 month, and these are the different prices for it. If you are going to use the code NEHA, then you will get 10% off. So if you are interested, you can subscribe to the Unacademy and for the detailed paid classes and follow Neha Taneja ma'am for clearing CSIR net. If you liked the video, if you understood the concepts, learn them, make notes, keep revising, solve the PYQ, solve many questions, and always be practicing. You can like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel Gurmantra. Join our Telegram channel Gurmanth. Join our Facebook page Gurmantra Siksha Ka Granth. then you can visit us on our website www.gurumantra.in. You have any further queries, you can mail us on tanejanehaofficial@gmail.com. You can contact us on 93512800000. Thank you so much and have a nice day.